What?
Not going anywhere at the minute.
I'm not going detained.
Yeah. Why are they getting detailed?
I've not cycled it here. You see me pushing it, right?
Suspect you cycling it.
Suspecting me of cycling it? You see me pushing it and lifting it up the...
This episode is brought to us by Reggie Photo. Be sure to check the link below and subscribe to his channel and give him the credit he deserves. In this episode, Auditor Reggie is dragging his bike through a shopping center when 3 officers stop him on nothing more than a hunch. One of them approaches looking aggressive and scruffy enough to be genuinely intimidating, and Reggie instinctively turns away, not because he's hiding anything, but because the officer comes off like trouble. What follows is one officer leaning hard into a wannabe gangster persona. Only...
How are you?
You okay?
Yeah, you?
So,
Nothing?
you seem a bit nervous, that's all, pal.
Nervous?
Yeah.
I need some food.
You just saw the cops and then...
I didn't know you was a copper.
No, you know them, there's a big yellow thing.
Sorry?
It's a plain clothes officer.
Oh, I said I didn't know he was a copper.
Well, I told you otherwise, won't I?
Pardon?
If you was a police officer, I'd tell him to go away, won't I?
I can't hear you.
If you was a police officer, I'd tell him to go away, won't I?
No, I didn't know.
No, but you look like you clocked the cops that are obvious.
No, I clocked you.
Oh, you clocked me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure if you clocked me, you would have clocked the people that were...
No, because you were the first coming around the corner.
What's your name, fella?
Sorry? Oh, what, sorry?
What's your name?
Your name?
Yeah.
What for?
Gee, what for?
I'm just...
Acting suspicious in a high crime area, so I wouldn't be questioning your name, bud.
Am I too suspicious?
Well, yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be speaking.
Mate, I seen you coming around here and you looked a bit dodgy, right? So, anyway, I was coming this way anyway.
You just happened me on, you saw that there was 2 cops.
I didn't see these 2.
Yeah. We were looking back quite a bit as well when you look up the stairs.
Did he not shout me though?
He shot you, huh?
He did shout me.
I shouted you afterwards.
They don't even start calmly. Right away, Reggie is questioned and asked to explain why he is supposedly acting suspicious in a high crime area. But if you look at what actually happened, it's very simple and almost ridiculous. All Reggie did was turn away. He did that because one of the officers approached him in plain clothes, covered in tattoos with a messy beard and no clear sign of authority. Any normal person would feel uncomfortable and keep their distance in that situation. That reaction isn't trying to escape or hide anything, it's just natural instinct. The real problem is how the officers twist it. Their own intimidating appearance becomes the excuse to label Reggie as suspicious. Instead of understanding how they look to the public, they use that reaction as a reason to stop him.
We saw you coming towards us, you U-turn. You go up them stairs, you kept looking back, and it's not safe to look back when you're going up them stairs with the bike in your hand.
Well, don't worry about my safety, my friend. But yeah, can you cycle here?
It's actually a offence to cycle.
Colleagues asking for your details.
We've done nasty with you. Is there an offence to cycle?
Is there a can you cycle here?
No.
No, right, I'll walk it. Let's see it.
Show us your name, mate.
What?
Not going anywhere at the minute.
I'm not going detained.
Yeah. Why are they getting detailed?
I've not cycled it here. You see me pushing it, right?
Suspect you cycling it.
Suspecting me of cycling it? You see me pushing it and lifting it up the stairs.
Just relax a little bit.
Whoa, he just said he suspects me of riding it.
You're going to ride at some point, let's be honest.
Yes, but I've just asked you, can you cycle here? And you said no.
Unless he's some sort of order and he's just trying to get out.
You just said I'm detained. Am I free to go?
No, you need to take
What section am I detaining?
Section 50, the Police Reform Act.
First, they admit that Reggie pushed the bike up the stairs, but then they instantly change their story and say they suspect he was riding it. It gets even worse when they claim he is going to ride it at some point. That is not real suspicion. It is just guessing the future. Policing is not supposed to be based on what someone might do later. You cannot detain a person for imaginary or possible behavior. Then, out of nowhere, they say the detention is under Section 50 of the Police Reform Act. That law only applies after a real offense has happened, and when an officer reasonably believes someone has acted in an antisocial way. That is the key issue. Without an actual offense, Section 50 cannot be used. Officers cannot block someone's way and then invent reasons to demand their name just because they don't like that the person is walking away.
And what do you suspect me of doing? Antisocial behaviour?
That's correct.
Right, so you're going to abuse this because I'm not giving you my name. You'll have to arrest me.
Why are you an auditor? So what you've done is you've seen cops and then you want attention.
She's just detained me.
Stand about. So what is it then? Are you just trying to get cops' attention?
No, mate, I seen you, and you looked like one of the druggies who attacked me last time I was in Manchester.
stop.
No, seriously, I didn't see these two.
So what is it? Are you an auditor? Is that what you are?
Mate,
that-
what
that's-
I am,
why
right,
you're not answering the
she just
question.
detained me. Am I free to go yet or not? Because I'll put a claim in against you. Because, mate, what you've just
But, yeah,
done,
so is
I'm
it-
not committed any
so-
antisocial
That's what I'm
behaviour.
saying. So what's happening is you're an auditor. You've clocked that.
I seen you.
Oh my God! Shut up. Let me explain.
Don't talk to me like that, my
I
friend.
can talk to you how I like.
Well, how about me talk to you? How are you like? What's your calling number, sir?
818288. So anyway, so what's happened here is you've seen two cops.
I seen you. I didn't see these two.
I can make
I
a
didn't see you.
I can make a YouTube video out of this.
He come around the corner first, am I right?
No, these two were.
No, you
beside
come
me.
around the corner
We
first.
were right next to me. We came at the same time.
Mate, you look like a
druggie.
druggie from around the thingy. Crutchy, I think it's called.
I look like Turbo. You think I look like Crutchy? Yeah, he's a
You do.
Leave this fella. He's a fool.
Am I detained still or not?
No, you
I'm a
can go
fool.
on.
Don't call me a fool,
I
mate.
call you what I like.
Really?
What are you going to do about it?
What if I called you something in swear
call what
words?
you like.
And you're not going to do me for public order?
No.
The plainclothes officer cannot properly justify the stop, so he changes approach and starts looking for a motive, basically accusing Reggie of trying to provoke the police. That accusation is not based on any real evidence. It is just a way to discredit someone who refuses to quietly comply. When Reggie questions this, he is immediately told to shut up, which shows the goal was never a calm conversation or a solution. The most telling moment is when the officer says, "I can talk to you how I like." That is not authority, it is disrespect. Police powers do not include the right to talk down to or humiliate people, especially when they have done nothing wrong. Speaking that way is not about keeping order, it is about showing power and daring the other person to challenge it.
I feel then.
Sweet, you have a good day.
So I asked you for some advice, right?
We're not giving you advice, pal. You go on your way.
And he was so you detain me, right? Can I have your calling numbers, please,
Go on
miss?
your way, pal. You've got my calling number.
I've not got her calling number.
It's on there.
What's your calling number?
16473.
Sorry.
16473.
And how long did you detain me for?
Right, you can go. So you
No,
got your
mate.
foot in.
She
Go on your
detained
way.
me
I'm
under
not
section
asked, pal.
50.
Off you
You're
go.
not asked. Don't talk to members of the public like that.
Talk to you how I like. Talk to
Well,
you
look
how I like.
at you. Really?
Yeah.
Is that the attitude
they
you've got?
Yeah, they can. Especially when you want to be inflammatory towards me, saying I look like a druggie. On your way,
You did. Look at your beard. You need a shave. You need a shave.
If you show us you're riding that, we're going to take off you, mate, alright?
You can ride this in Manchester. It's just designated areas.
Alright, go on. Leave him be. He's had his fun. See you later.
Have I had my fun?
Had your fun.
Mate, just get a shave, will you?
See you later.
You like crutchy.
Get a job.
I've got a job.
Anyway.
I'm having that. That's inflammatory. No way. How bad is he? Guys.
The final interaction clearly shows the plainclothes officer's attitude. Reggie asks a simple and reasonable question about how long he was detained. Before the female officer can answer, the same officer interrupts, cuts her off, and sharply tells Reggie, "You can go." When Reggie explains why he is asking, the response is not confusion or impatience, but clear disrespect. Saying, "I'm not asked," is not a casual comment. It shows his mindset. Once the officer decides the encounter is finished, he no longer cares about procedure, clarity, or even basic manners. Looking at the whole situation, the pattern is clear. There is no real suspicion, only substitution. Whenever a solid reason is required, something weaker is used instead. Turning away is treated as bad intent. Pushing a bike becomes an excuse for what might happen later. And when questioned, explanation is replaced with attitude. The officer's decisions are not based on facts, but on his feelings about Reggie refusing to cooperate quietly. That is why the ending feels so wrong. The officer does not care how long Reggie was detained, because in his mind, it does not need to make sense once it is over. The power has been used, the interruption has been made, and that is enough. The real danger is not just that innocent people get stopped, but that some officers no longer feel they owe anyone an explanation at all.